All right, creatures of the night, and everybody out there in the Pod Street crew. My name is Alex Dorio, and I want to welcome you to another edition of Talking Taker, our encyclopedic exploration digging of the career of the greatest professional wrestling character of all time, The Undertaker. And I am not joined tonight by my tag team partner, my wrestling buddy, my fellow creature of the night, Mr. Travis White. This is a special bonus episode where I am joined by a longtime friend of the show and fellow YouTuber and fellow travel buddy, future travel buddy for the Royal Rumble. We've called him often on the show the Forrest Gump of the WWE because he has just been at so many shows, so many iconic moments throughout the ages. Every time you talk to him, he just spills the details about another. Oh yeah, I was at this incredible event of all time, and he's about to go to another incredible event here in this coming weekend. I'm talking, of course, about Tommy on the Spot, Watchalong Tommy, and I've invited him on the show tonight to talk about Saturday night's main event. It is coming back, making its return for the first time in a long time to the WWE. And we want to talk about a classic Saturday night's main event match featuring The Undertaker. But I had to bring Tommy on because, of course, he's going to the brand new edition of Saturday night's main event here in 2024. Tommy, how pumped are you to be back at the return of SNME?
Not as pumped as I am to be back here with the Pod Street crew on Talking Taker. It's been far too long. I feel like I was the last time I was on with you guys when we did the Undertaker CM Punk watch along from WrestleMania 29.
I think it was. I think it might
So
have
I feel
been.
like we got like the year John Cena had his one match for WWE on the final SmackDown of the year just to make sure he got his annual match in. I feel like I got my annual appearance on Talking Taker in,
That's
and I
right.
am excited to be back here with you and to be back here with all of the Pod Street crew. And yes, I am. I'm heading back to Saturday night's main event, one of my favorite venues in the world, Nassau Coliseum. And we'll be there this Saturday night. We're still kind of up in the air as to whether or not our daughter will join us, but my wife and I will definitely be there, vlogging the whole experience. And good to get one event in before we all head to the Royal Rumble next month.
That's right. Yeah. We talked about it. Travis, Randy, Steven, and you were all heading to the Royal Rumble next month or 2 months now. I guess it's in February this year. So
Oh, good call.
yeah, little over a month till we get to that. So we can't wait. The whole crew is going to be getting together. It's going to be an incredible time. But before we get there, we're going to talk a little Saturday night's main event. I just thought it'd be fun to revisit a classic Undertaker match.
Absolutely.
He came in toward the later end of the original run of Saturday night's main event, but we're going to talk about it. February 8th, 1992. Big important match. Him and Ric Flair in a tag team encounter against Hulk Hogan and, sad to say, the late, great Sid Justice, who we lost just a few months ago. So it's also would be great to revisit one of his classic matches as well. But I think me and you were texting a little bit. I think the original run of Saturday Night's main event was just a little bit before our time. But I was going to ask, do you have any memories of Saturday Night's main event? Did you watch any of the original ones? I mean, I'm sure you have memories of the reboot, in like the 2006 and 2000 to 2008 era as well. But what comes to mind when you think about Saturday Night's main event?
So for me, I'd say Saturday night's main event, and the thing I remember most about it is that whenever I'd talk about it or you'd hear about it, my dad would always perk up because for him, he'd always say like, "Oh, this was the best." It was, whenever Saturday Night Live was off the air, you knew Saturday night's main event was going to be on the air, and that was his first memory of feeling like the shows were legitimate, pay-per-view type quality shows because you really didn't have that before the era of Monday Night Raw. Superstars and Wrestling Challenge and the morning shows, even primetime wrestling, were usually squash matches with promos and different things. So Saturday night's main event comes around, and at least it's like competitive matches. And then really into that late 80s, early 90s, some of the bigger angles were on that Saturday night's main event. I always think it was Saturday night's main event. It might have been called the main event when Andre the Giant actually wins the title and
Yeah.
hands it over to Ted DiBiase. And that was always the one my dad told me about, where they had the evil twin referee who had done plastic surgery to look like Earl Hebner. which then of course sets up the WrestleMania 4 tournament. So, I think that's probably, when I think back to Saturday Night's Main Event, that's probably my earliest memory. And then I do remember as a little kid watching one of the last, I guess it was, I think you actually told me the final episode of the first run of Saturday Night's Main Event, when it was going to be British Bulldog versus Shawn Michaels. And Michaels beats him. And I remember being really pumped up, even at that age, because I figured if Davey's losing the title, they're probably getting him ready for the world title. I was just convinced that'd be the only way after the SummerSlam main event. I was like, it came across great. It was the main event. He looked like $1 million. They got to be priming this guy for bigger things. This was not to be, unfortunately.
It was not. No, he was gone. He was over to WCW after that, not to be seen for another couple years till he returned. That's funny. That's actually, that's the only one of the original run that I ever watched live, was that final one in looks like it was October of '92. Yeah, with Shawn Michaels winning the IC title from British Bulldog. I was very disappointed. I did not have that same optimism about Bulldog as a kid. I was bummed that he lost because I was a big Bulldog fan. I wanted to do my hair in those dreadlocks. Certainly, my mom would not let me do that. But
for sure.
Yeah, I became a fan.
No, I never had the long hair for it.
No, I didn't either back then. But yeah, I became a fan really in sort of like mid to late '91. So I really missed like the heyday of Saturday Night's Main Event. But yeah, it was always talked about in such big tones. And I do remember the video store had a Coliseum video that was like best of Saturday Night's Main Event. So I rented that and I got to see, the Hogan and Andre stuff. And I really remember Hogan and Boss Man, where Hogan superplexes him off the steel cage, which was incredible. And then Hogan and Paul Orndorff, where they're like both climbing down the cage at the same time, and it's like a photo finish where they both hit the ground at the same time. So yeah, they'd always do some incredible big storylines and big angles and big matches on that show to get you hyped up. It was sort of their version of Clash of the Champions, like WCW had, something to bridge the gap between those pay-per-views. And I'm sure you were. I was super excited when they finally brought it back in 2006 for a few years. Did you go to any of those?
I did. There was one that they did. Unfortunately, they recorded it after an episode of Raw or SmackDown. And so you had a crowd that was pretty wiped out because, like, I remember them specifically saying, like, and we're going to be recording Saturday Night's Main Event right after Raw, so make sure you stick around. And I was just like amped up. For me, more is more. Oh man, I'm signing me up for another 2 hours of Raw then. But I was at the Raw. The one I remember was Saturday Night's Main Event when it was Matt Hardy versus Evander Holyfield in a boxing fight. And at the time, Matt Hardy was by far my favorite wrestler. I thought the world of him. And so anytime he'd get an opportunity, like, they're not going to burn an Evander Holyfield spot on Matt Hardy unless they've got big plans for him. So I was always thinking at some point Matt's going to be getting that push, and it just never fully happened in WWE, unfortunately.
Oh man, so we've got Mike Tyson and Logan Paul in 2024. Back then we had Matt Hardy and Evander Holyfield.
Yeah, and I think Evander actually turns face and knocks out MVP. I think it was kind of to build up that feud. But yeah, I mean, I think at that point it was like already kind of, I think what happened was, like, when Saturday Night's Main Event first came back, they built it up really well. I remember the first Saturday Night's Main Event back, I think it was the first one in '06. It's like a really great companion piece for WrestleMania 22. And I think it's the full episode is actually on the Mania 22 DVD. And it's so great. It does a great job. And I think the main event of that show is like John Cena and Triple H versus Randy Orton, Kurt Angle, and Rey Mysterio.
Yeah, it's the two main events.
Two main events against each other. I remember they did some stuff building up the feud between Vince McMahon and Shane McMahon. Vince McMahon and Shawn Michaels. And Shawn actually fights Shane on that show.
Yeah.
So I thought that was such a cool one. But unfortunately, I think the ratings weren't what the NBC expected. So they ended up like kind of just doing like rather than doing its own taping for Saturday Night's Main Event, they instead did just tack it on to the end of Raw, which is always tough.
Yeah, it was disappointing. It felt like it just died like immediately, after that first one, which was such a shame because it had so much potential. There was so much excitement around it, and then it just kind of petered out after that. But it is exciting that they're bringing it back. I mean, what a great time to bring it back. The company is so hot right now. It feels like everything they touch is just turning to gold right now. It's a new boom period for the company, so it is a great time. And I feel like again they've done an incredible job of building it up as well. We've got a huge title match between Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens that they've done an excellent job of building that up, making it like a
Absolutely.
pay-per-view quality match here. Um, we've got the what is it? It's Gunther and Damian or what are the other matches on there?
So it was Gunther versus Finn Balor, but then last night, as we're recording this on Tuesday,
Yeah,
last night they added Priest to the
they
match,
added
and I
Priest in.
think
Yeah,
that adds another element because I think everybody kind of knew if you were doing just Gunther versus Finn Balor, Priest would be the one to come in and ruin the match. So putting all three in the match, I think, is actually great and adds another element that maybe the title could change hands. I'm excited for that one. This should be a good match.
absolutely. So yeah, I mean, both titles on the line, which
Yeah,
honestly, it doesn't even happen at all the pay-per-views
Cody
nowadays.
wasn't on Survivor Series. Yeah.
Exactly. So that's they're really building this up to be pretty big. What made you say, yeah, I got to be there for the return of Saturday Night's Main Event?
I think it's the same thing that made my wife give the old green light on this one, and it's the idea that it'll be back at Nassau Coliseum. It's the venue I grew up going to. WWE hasn't done a show there in a very long time. I don't even remember the last time they were there. So I mean, Nassau Coliseum has kind of gone through some renovations. It's like a brand new building, but they don't even have a sports team that plays out of there. So for me, I was always like, oh, this might be the end of Nassau Coliseum hosting WWE shows. But to have it come back, I mean, this is the building that, even though it's renovated now and it's a newer building, it's a building I graduated high school from.
Oh my
I went
goodness.
went to college just down the road, and I'd always, in between classes, whenever they'd have like a TV taping or if they'd have like a show coming up, I'd walk down and get tickets because the wrestlers stayed at the Marriott Marquis, which is right across from the Nassau Coliseum. So you'd see them all walking over to the Nassau Coliseum. So for me, I was like, I've got to go once it was announced that it was going there. I'll never forget there was a time I once went over there for like a SmackDown in '08, maybe '07 or so. It was definitely one of the Batista era because I had a big Batista sucks sign and he flipped his pecs at me. We were right like when we were on the floor level. And I just thought he was the worst. And but that day I went over to go get tickets, and walking over was a it was Dave Taylor, who for some reason was in
Oh
WWE
wow.
at the time.
Right. Very short
Paul
run.
Paul Burchill and Tim White. And I let out a few. I was on the phone with Steve about to get tickets. I was like, Steve, hang on. And yes, this is main man Steve of Watchalong Wrestling fame.
The infamous.
And I let out a big Mr. White, that's not wise. And I expected like him to pop, and he instead just looked at me. He was like, "Come on, pal." And I was like, "Ah, crap."
What? Come on.
Yeah.
As if
Oh,
he's
seriously.
like getting like recognized all the time.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I told him I was like, so I did that, and then I left. And as I was leaving and heading back to go back to school, someone pulled me over right at the stop sign and asked how they get to the Hooters, and it was Victoria. So
Victoria
I
was
was
going to Hooters.
Hooters. I was like, now I've got to go to Hooters. I didn't go, but it was one of these. So there's like so many memories like that through the years of going. Like Nassau Coliseum was always the venue you'd wait out afterwards for the wrestlers leaving, and so I like have gone there so many times. So I think going there when I found out it was going to be doing what in essence is kind of a premium live event for WWE. I told my wife, and she was like, "Ah, if it's Nassau Coliseum, makes sense. Let's do it." So it's going to be fun.
And how funny that we almost ran into Victoria again this year when we were driving
I know.
after the Dead Man show in Cleveland. She was passing right by us, and you were trying to get us to pull over next to her. I think the rest of us were a little a little too nervous to actually try to flag her down.
I think well, I think the rest of us were being adults, and I was being a child and wanting to. I really wanted to film her and tell her how great it was to have her to see her at the Undertaker show. I just thought that would have been so cool to
I think we
see
should have done it in
her
hindsight.
response. Like at the end of the day, be like, "Oh, it was so great to see you, Victoria."
Yeah.
That was the only thing I was going to do. And I'm sure she probably would have, waved and said whatever. Probably not, give me a come on man like Tim White.
She might have.
But
I don't know.
yeah, but but yeah. No, so yeah, yeah, so random to see Victoria. I mean, I thought that was a real highlight of the Undertaker show for sure.
It absolutely was. I agree. Well, what do you have any big predictions before we'll drop this episode before the episode of Saturday Night's Main Event comes out? Two world title matches. Is there any chance we see a title change on this big Saturday Night's Main Event?
So I'm the worst when it comes to this because I'm like the fan WWE wants. They
You
want
are.
the fan to sit there and go, they might flip the title.
Yes.
And so yes, I do think Kevin Owens is going to win the title on
Oh man,
Saturday.
that'd be great. I would love
That
that.
would be amazing. Like I just feel like what a cool way to end the show with Kevin Owens regaining the title. And I just think it would be such a shocking deal that it would be cool to not have to see a year-long reign for Cody. Cody can get the title back at the Rumble. I think that'd be fine. But at the end of the day, I think it's okay if the champion doesn't have a long historical title reign. And so I'd love to see that take place. Realistically, though, because it is also going to be the finals of the U.S. Women's Title Tournament, I think that's going to be your one title change there. But it really does. I'm getting the feeling that it's going to be a Kevin Owens title win on Saturday.
I've been watching 96 WWE lately. I've been watching the Superstars episodes and then watching the pay-per-views, and I'm in November, December. So I just watched Survivor Series 96 with Sid winning the title from Shawn Michaels, and he gets his little 2 month reign, and then Shawn Michaels gets the title back. And I've been thinking, man, I would love to see that with Kevin Owens and Cody, and I Cody wouldn't lose anything, and it would boost it. He'd get to be a 2-time WWE champion after that. Get a little excitement around the
Right.
Royal Rumble. He can win the title back, and then head off into WrestleMania. Builds Kevin Owens up again. I mean, I think it would be perfect. I don't know if they'll actually do it, but I would love to see it.
That's a great shout. And yeah, I remember when, Sid was wrestling Shawn at that particular show. And of course I'm a kid, so I wanted Shawn to win.
Oh yeah.
Because
Oh yeah.
boyhood dream. But I remember my dad losing his mind when Sid won, like being like, oh my God, like they actually gave Sid the title. And he was just like to the moon pumped up. And then even though Shawn got it back, and then I guess it was eventually supposed to fight Bret Hart at that WrestleMania, and that
Right.
doesn't work. So Sid actually gets it back. But I think that was such like an exciting out of nowhere finish. And then of course the adulation from the crowd there. Vlad, the super fan, grabs Sid up in the
Yes.
big hug. It's like such an incredible moment. And especially because heels didn't really win pay-per-view main events at the time.
Yeah, and it ranks pretty well in your rankings of that era of Survivor Series main events, I believe.
Yes, it was in the top 3.
Yeah.
And I honestly feel like it was going to be number 1, but during the rewatch, I just like absolutely loved the Brett Diesel match. I thought that match was pretty much perfect.
I love that
And then
match.
I honestly really enjoyed Rock and Mick. And at one point, like that match starts and they start throwing haymakers at each other. And like it took me back. Crowd's going crazy for them because I think there's like this realization that, oh my God, we're going to get someone who's never held the title, get their first title win on that show. So it ranked number 3, though. Still love the match. I mean, I think it's great, especially when he knocks Super Sock out of the apron. They think they're looking at like he's got like they like almost act like the guy had a heart attack, which is ridiculous. But at the same point, Super Sock was as lame as they came, I think, for in looking back at Shawn Michaels' manager.
I hated
it made sense for them to do something different, something cool.
Well, yeah, in case you haven't been, I try to plug them every time they come out, but in case you guys don't know, Tommy has been going through basically all year, going sort of matching the timeline to whatever is current in wrestling, going back and looking at those historical pay-per-views, ranking the main events, through every Survivor Series in history, every SummerSlam, every Backlash, even every Bad Blood, all 3 Bad Blood events. He ranked all the main events of all of those. I've highly enjoyed all those videos. great fun to see and kind of debate with him what those rankings are. And you can find all those on the Watchalong Wrestling YouTube channel. And I'm sure there are more to come here going forward. I hope there are. I'm excited for them. I always enjoy them.
There are. I'm going to certainly finish out the year through WrestleMania, and I will break a little news right here
Ooh.
on Talking Taker, an exclusive that's starting at the end, starting in the beginning of next year. I will also be, because it is the John Cena Farewell Tour, I will also be ranking all of John Cena's matches at all of the big shows as well,
Whoa.
from worst to best. And to kick it
Ooh.
off, right around Christmas this year, I'm going to do John Cena's matches, pay-per-view matches from 2007, ranked from worst to best, considering that's probably his most successful in-ring year. So I think
Oh
that'll be a
my
lot of fun.
goodness. All right. Something to look forward to there, and a
Yeah,
great way to celebrate the farewell tour of Cena.
that's right. I mean, hopefully I can get through all the Cena matches, but that is the plan. Is the plan at
It
least?
may drive you crazy at some point, but
I feel like super intense Cena is fine. I think it's when he becomes like the silly Willie John Cena coming out, breaking the fourth wall, talking to Stu, talking to the people at home. That's when he almost becomes a little much
yeah.
down there. So, but you know, it'll be fun to kind of go back for sure.
All right. I love it. I love it. Well, we're here to talk about Saturday night's main event tonight. So let's do that. We're gonna watch
Yeah.
this classic match between Hulk Hogan and Sid versus Ric Flair and The Undertaker from February 8th, 1992. And we're gonna do a little bit different. We usually pull things up. We used to pull things up on the WWE network, and then we've lately been pulling these up on Peacock. But actually, they just added this particular match to the WWE Vault channel on YouTube. And we thought, hey, everybody's got YouTube. Everybody's talking about the WWE Vault channel lately. Let's just watch it along on that WWE Vault channel. So we encourage you to just pull this match up on your YouTube app or on whatever you're watching YouTube on, and watch this along with us. And we don't have to give you a time cue. We'll just hit play at the very beginning of it. But as you're searching for it, I did want to give you a few fun facts about this era. I think Tommy mentioned it. This was the second to last of the original run of Saturday Night's Main Event. It had moved from NBC to Fox at this point in time, and this was the first of only two that ever aired on the Fox network. It was coming out of Royal Rumble 1992, so obviously the big storyline there is Ric Flair had won the WWF Championship that was vacant in the Royal Rumble that Undertaker had previously held and Hulk Hogan had previously held. And Sid Justice was also there in the finals of the Royal Rumble, and Hulk Hogan was pulling him out, eliminated him over the top rope. So all four of these guys are going after each other. And I believe they had just had the press conference that had announced that Ric Flair was going to face the Macho Man at WrestleMania. And so, Sid was actually very upset about that he was not going to be getting that title shot. So there was definitely some tension between Sid and Hulk Hogan here, but Sid was technically still a babyface, which is why he's teaming with Hogan here. And then Undertaker, obviously still the heel at this point in time. But very famously, at the end of this night, he is going to have a big moment where he turns babyface. It's not shown on this episode, but it's on this night that takes place. The main event of this night is Randy Savage and Jake the Snake Roberts, and when Randy Savage or Jake the Snake is about to hit Elizabeth with a steel chair as she's walking through the curtain after the match is over, Undertaker grabs the chair and stops him from doing it. They air that on the next week's TV as behind the scenes footage from this episode of Saturday Night's Main Event. So that is where he turns babyface and goes on to face Jake the Snake at that WrestleMania just a month after this.
There you go. I was gonna, and I knew you were. I figured you would get into it. You were the Taker historian here, because I was very surprised to see going into this match that Flair and Taker teamed up, because I knew he faced Jake the Snake and was obviously a babyface. I always at that particular Mania, so I was confused. He was still a heel here for some reason in my timeline. I thought that happened where he's about to hit Elizabeth like right after the Savage Elizabeth wedding, but I guess he's still a heel even through Rumble '92.
Yeah, he is. So the thing after that wedding is where they have the snake in one of the wedding gifts, and
Yeah.
so that they interrupt the wedding reception there. And Undertaker's with Jake the Snake at that point. But yeah, this is a historic moment, a big night in the career of the Undertaker. Very important. Just another look at the timeline of February 8th, 1992. If you weren't watching Saturday Night's Main Event at home, you might have been at the movies that night. And the top movies that weekend, I never even heard of this movie, but the number one movie in the country at that time was called Medicine Man, starring Sean Connery, where he's a
Wow.
medicine man out in like the African jungles or something, trying to cure people. Never heard of it.
Never
It-
heard of it either.
I
Wow.
watched the trailer. It looks horrible. Uh, Fried Green Tomatoes was out in theaters.
Okay.
Hook, starring Robin Williams and Dustin Hoffman, the classic, was out in the
It
theaters.
scared the piss out of me as a kid.
Oh,
One of the
interesting.
I'm very afraid. Like the idea that he was going to hook the kid's ear, couldn't deal. I was just petrified of it for sure.
I just remember not really being that into it. I loved Robin Williams and I loved Peter Pan, but for some reason, the live action, the Hook, it didn't really resonate with me as a kid. I know a lot of people have a lot of nostalgia for it, but I didn't love it. And Beauty and the Beast was also in the theaters at this time, the classic
Oh
animated.
wow. Okay.
Yeah. So that was all you could have been to see. The number one song on the Billboard charts on February 8th, 1992, Right Said Fred, I'm Too Sexy. So
Wow. Okay.
that
A very popular song.
might have been what you were blasting out from your boombox before you watched Saturday Night's Main Event.
That is very cool. Wow. Great shout there. A classic. It's still played at most bar mitzvahs and weddings to this day.
It's, it is. It's a banger.
Definitely bar
You
mitzvahs for
can't
sure.
deny it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then going up against Saturday Night's Main Event on TV this night, on ABC, some classic sitcoms. You had Growing Pains, Who's the Boss, and Perfect Strangers. Solid lineup on
Huge
ABC
Mike
right there.
Cameron mark. Always have been. Mike Cameron and Alan Thicke. What a show. I mean,
What a
just
show.
fantastic. Yeah.
On NBC, you had the Golden Girls,
Another
still
great one.
still going on at that time. Um, CBS had this was probably the biggest ratings winner of the night. They had the Winter Olympics opening ceremony airing at that
Wow.
time. So tough competition there for
Oh, they
Saturday
probably
Night's Main
got
Event.
slaughtered in the ratings that
I would imagine so.
night. Wow.
And this aired at 9 o'clock on Saturday night on Fox. And preceding that for an hour was a double shot of Cops on the Fox network. So that was the big
Cops
lead
had
in.
all the hits back then. Wow. There you go. What a night. You didn't need to bother with the Olympics. You had Cops and then Saturday Night's Main Event.
This is what all the rednecks were watching.
Absolutely, for
Double shot of
sure.
Cops and Saturday Night's Main Event.
Right after Cops on Fox's Saturday Night Special, four-time World Wrestling Federation champ Hulk Hogan teams up with Sid Justice to battle current WWF champion Ric Flair and his partner The Undertaker in the Ultimate Tag Team competition. Here we go! Macho Man Randy Savage vows revenge on Jake the Snake Roberts, plus two incredible bouts featuring Rowdy, Roddy Piper, Sergeant Slaughter, and more.
Tonight at 9 on Fox 5.
Right after Cops, somebody's gonna get busted.
Perfect.
All right, buddy. Well, you got it all queued up?
I've got it all queued up. And I did also see that WWE Vault has uploaded Invasion of the Body Slammers home video in full
In full.
as well. So they've been pulling everything out on this channel. This channel is amazing.
Absolutely. I mean, it has been a godsend. So much fun, cool stuff. They just added like Kurt Angle's debut rookie match on there yesterday. Rare footage unseen. I mean, it's been incredible. That we were talking that Survivor Series behind the scenes footage throughout the
Oh, so
years
good.
that they added on there. So much fun.
Where there's like a little tidbit from, I want to say it's like Survivor Series 99 or 2000, where they show Lita and Edge backstage kind of joking around, smiling, and like, the guy who put this channel up saw that and was like, I've got to find a way to get this in on a video. But whoever's doing the programming is so cool, because he's a historian who appreciates the Wrestle Rock Rumble, Saturday Night's Main Event, and also the Amazing Red. So
That's
I
right.
mean, that is pretty great there.
And there was that Eric Bischoff kickoff for Survivor Series 2002 in that footage that you were at that, right?
Yes, where he goes and meets the fans. I about lost. I was watching it so slow to see if I could see myself. I didn't, but I was like ready to do it. And if I had seen myself, I'd have lost my mind. And that's what kind of gave me the idea when you see some of these old interviews with these fans and they're like, can't use it, you cussed. No, you cussed, we're not going to use it. Like, can you imagine if those people are still fans to this day, maybe diehards who are watching
Yeah.
the vault, and then all
Yeah.
of a sudden they see themselves pop up for the first time ever? Like, what a little Easter egg that is.
Absolutely. It'll be the greatest day of my life.
For sure. For sure. I remember I went to the McMahon Millions press conference in 2008, I want to say it was, and they interviewed me and they asked me why I'm such a fan of WWE, and my answer was, you know, you see WWE going to do these tributes to the troops and bringing their product to the troops. You never see the NFL, NBA, or baseball doing that. And they were like, what a great answer. We're definitely using it. I don't think they ever did because I never saw it. But like, I'm hopeful one day on this WWE vault,
there's
I
a
am
chance.
talking.
Fingers
Now
crossed.
there's a chance.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. So like I said, we've got the WWE Vault clip queued up here. Full match. Hulk Hogan and Sid versus Ric Flair and Undertaker. Saturday night's main event, February 8th, 1992. Let's do a countdown here. We will go 3, 2, 1, play in just a moment. Everybody got it queued up. Let's go 3, 2, 1, play.
There's the Travis White doppelganger in Sean Mooney.
Friend of the show, Sean Mooney.
That's right. He gave him a birthday shout out too.
And Sid in those red trunks right there. What do you think about those bright red trunks?
Pretty great. Is he wearing those in his Mattel Action Elite figure? The one where he also has the referee outfit?
He might be. I'm not sure. I don't have that one. But
I don't have it either.
I like the bright red here.
Really like this version of Sid. And when he passed away, I always do this when people pass away. Always go back and watch some of their classic matches.
Of course.
I think this is an underrated era for Sid. I think his best era in WWE is for sure that, you know, that end of 96, like we spoke about there, going into Royal Rumble, and even Mania 13, I don't think is as bad as people make it out to be. But this is an underrated era here. He comes across as like a pretty badass guy.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you go back and watch it. Absolutely. And I think they wanted him to kind of be the next big baby face here. But, you know, for whatever reason, it didn't quite click. And so they have to turn him heel at this point. But yeah, I mean, going into SummerSlam 91, where he's the referee, and throughout the next few months, I mean, they're building him up to be a huge baby face to kind of take over for Hogan. And he always did have that incredible connection with the crowd wherever he went throughout the years. Like he maybe wasn't always the best in the ring, you know, but you know, whatever he had, that charisma that he had, that connection he had with the crowd was unmistakable.
You see him jump up onto the apron there, super agile.
Absolutely.
I won't get your opinion on this. I was going to ask you during that interview, that backdrop they use with the locker room, is that a real locker room or is that just a straight backdrop?
I'm pretty positive that's a straight backdrop.
Is it? I wished it was. Oh, look at Brother Brudai is with Hogan. Did not expect him to be there at all.
He is barely wearing pants at this point. There's less fabric on him than there is not. I mean, I think that might be what I wear to the Royal Rumble. I think I've decided right there.
I will say,
with that exact outfit.
He could have went right from here to like the age 50 plus male strip joint afterwards. I mean, he would have been really over with the ladies for sure. You think about Taker here is probably still in his 20s.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, right?
Yeah, I mean, he looks super young. But like, I don't ever think of Taker as being a guy in his 20s. I just always assumed he was in his 50s. Like, it's so crazy seeing this.
And that I assumed Ric Flair was just ancient at this point as a kid watching this. He was so old at this point, and here he's going to go on to wrestle another 20 years after this.
Unbelievable. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, it's crazy. Hogan here is now really kind of on his way out. You can tell the crowd's not as into him as they've been in the past, and He's starting to lose a little bit of that luster that he's had.
He is for sure, but like me at 6 years old watching this, he's still the greatest thing in the world to me.
Yeah, 100%.
Without question. I
so
never knew that there was like a backlash against Hogan until I like started reading on the internet, like during the Attitude Era.
Like, I don't even remember. I remember at Rumble 1992 being like, no, why are you pulling Sid out? It's going to help Ric Flair. But I didn't remember like people turning on him until I got those DVDs.
Right, exactly.
I do think this is on the, I think the first time I saw this, I want to say this is on that Best of the Saturday Night's Main Event DVD that did eventually come out.
Yeah, I would imagine so.
Now I am at a hotel, so I do not have my premium hooked up.
No, I just got an ad too.
Oh, did you? Okay. So we both have
Dave's
an ad.
Hot Chicken.
How long is your ads?
I got 15 seconds. It's about to be over.
Yep.
I'm back.
I'm back as well. Okay,
good.
So good. So we both have it.
We should be close enough.
Yeah.
And how about Sid and Ric Flair both in red? Like they would never let that happen
weird,
nowadays.
Right? Yeah. So strange. Mr. Perfect in his usual legitimate shoot attire. Like I remember I saw him once at an airport and he was wearing almost that exact same outfit.
He wore the same thing to the arena. Yep.
Yeah. Because he looks like the coolest guy in the world. Like even like, I mean, it's very sad because so many of these guys now have passed away, but
right.
It's like who's who at ringside there. Paul Bear is there. Brudai is there. Perfect
Brother Brudai. And Undertaker in the ring for the first time gets the big hip toss from Hogan.
Yeah.
And he's cleaning house.
Oh, look at Sid putting the knee up. That's super cool. I feel like no one ever did that.
Nobody does that anymore.
Is Sid taller than the Undertaker?
It's pretty close.
Yeah.
And that yeah, he might be actually. That was one of the great things about watching them, like at WrestleMania 13, like two guys that actually matched up against each other.
Taker's so agile here, and it was something I don't think WWE even realized how agile he was, and that's why they put him in there with the big lumbering guys. Right. But you could see look at this guy taking bumps like a madman in this match. That's like the third time he's been body slammed so far.
Hogan slamming everybody. He's a house of fire.
Oh yeah. He's clearing house. He's doing the whole Hogan deal there.
He's over with this crowd. Some other crowds might have been turning on him.
He's going bananas from here.
They're in Lubbock, Texas on this night. So they're fans.
Were they? Okay. I love the old school banners up in the rafters there.
Oh, me too. And I hope for this year's Saturday Night's Main Event, they do like all the promos, like to kick off the show, like backstage. They have everybody cut a promo to start it. And it seems like they might bring back the old entrance music, and they're bringing back Jesse Ventura.
Ventura. Incredible.
I love that.
Yeah, it'll be a double watch for me because I'll be there live, and then I definitely want to hear how he sounds on commentary.
Oh, yeah. You got to go back and watch it.
It'll be very cool. But yeah, this is crazy that on the same night, not to give spoilers away if anyone's never seen this match, but two turns then in a way because Sid turns and Taker turns.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, they did big stuff on Saturday Night's Main Event. A lot of big angles, a lot of big storylines that they, like you said, they didn't do on the weekly TV shows back in the day. It wasn't like Raw or SmackDown nowadays. They would save a lot of that stuff for these big specials.
And even at this point, I mean, you think about it, once Saturday Night's Main Event is finished at the end of this year in 92, it goes right into Raw.
It does.
Over on January 93.
Yeah, that's a great point. I didn't think about it like that. It does go right into Raw, which starts to become the flagship show at that point. Double clothesline.
Boy, these guys, I mean, what the old school Taker landing right on his feet.
Perfect 10, landing right on his feet. And look at Sid, though. Very subtle. He's shaking his head. He's
only frustrated. Only Hogan has no clue. He's had enough of his nonsense there.
Nope. And Sid's frustrated, but he's not paying attention. Yeah, go ahead.
It's so random to see Undertaker in there with Sid Justice. Like, you just don't. I don't recall this at all.
Yeah, we talked about it. There's a Coliseum video where they face off in some European country or something, and it's like Sid's last match before he goes off during this run. He leaves the company
Oh, really?
like the next day, like walks out or whatever. So they did have a couple matches after Sid turned heel and Undertaker was babyface. But yeah, you don't really think about their feud at this time, but it could have been huge.
Absolutely. And you think about it too. I mean, Sid's gone pretty quickly after Mania 8 too, right?
Yeah, he's basically done like the next week or two after that.
So they lose both of their Mania 8 main eventers pretty quickly after
That's true. Because Hogan's
yeah.
gone, to go shoot Mr. Nanny, I think.
Right. I think you're right.
Great decision.
You're right. And they were acting like Mania 8 was going to be it for him. They do. That's the thank you for Hulkamania.
Yeah.
Vince thanks him.
Exactly.
Pretty crazy. And then I guess Warrior is like their top guy. Well, Flair is still there till '93.
And Savage. So
right.
Yeah, but
still
they bring Warrior back because Hogan's leaving, and then Warrior's gone within 6 months.
Double
headbutt.
Flair with the
flop.
classic Flair flop.
You just don't see that anymore.
You don't. It's such a cool thing too. I used to love when Flair would take a hit and then take a few steps and then fall.
Yes.
That was my favorite.
It's the best.
Even
Paul Bearer takes one. Mr. Perfect. Nope, he's not going to take one.
No. But Paul Bearer, inside out. What a great bump. Yeah, I mean, and these are the types of matches that like would make sense to have on a Saturday Night's Main Event. Like I when I first heard they were bringing a Saturday Night's Main Event, I was like, I bet you're going to get like a Cody and another babyface at a tag match against whoever he's feuding with there. Like you expect that type of match there because you could have all the stars involved, and then no unnecessary stakes.
Exactly.
No, I'm not complaining though that we do have 4 title matches.
Oh sure.
I was always interested in how that hurt Flair when somebody flipped around the figure 4. Like I don't think I ever got a good explanation as to how immediately suddenly that hurt him more than it would have flip on his back.
It's one of those just wrestling logic things you just have to accept at some point.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with like the just running the ropes where you just keep running forever. It's just one of those things where right in your head, you have to just accept it. But so we saw Sid there kind of ignoring Hogan while he was in that figure 4. He just kind of turned around and fixed his knee pad or something. He is clearly some frustration building up between the two of them there.
And then he's over there, barking at a fan too. Not very babyface of him.
No,
Hogan
not at all.
Bark at a fan.
Love that.
What a classic
Flair bump.
A Taker too before with a big like flying accent.
Big clothesline, yeah.
Very good.
Sid's just playing with that tag rope. He's doing
playing with it. Yep.
He's playing his role perfectly.
He really is.
That's a little smile, little
smirk on.
I love Sid. Oh my gosh.
One of my big regrets is that he did an appearance at the Wrestling Universe just like weeks before he ended up passing away.
Yeah, he did.
And I didn't go. What a shame. I was like, and I don't think he ever told anybody he wasn't doing well, but they were like, oh, we didn't know if he was going to make it. And then they like showed him on the flight on his way. And yeah, it's a real shame.
Yeah, it seemed like a good guy. And yeah, it's just a shame to lose him so early. And I'm glad people have, I think he got crapped on a lot, a few years ago, or early days of the wrestling internet fans didn't love Sid, but I think the tides have turned and appreciated him a lot more.
Absolutely. I did just have a little break there. I don't know if you did too.
I don't have one, but I can pause it real quick.
No, it's okay. I'm back. It was only a quick one. So
okay.
So right now Hogan is no selling all of Flair's offense.
Yeah.
Sid looks pretty annoyed by it. That's where I'm at right now.
Yeah, Undertaker's trying to sit up, Flair's down, and Hogan's going to be reaching for that hot tag, and Sid's arms are getting real short at this point. He's like a guy who doesn't want to reach for the check at the restaurant at this point.
Yeah, oh man, is that I've been in that situation too many times.
He's
where-
got the alligator arms right now.
Oh, you sure you got it? Yeah, yeah, man, I got it. Yeah, he is not having any of Hulk here.
Oh,
Hogan's off. Hogan is selling face is so fantastic.
it
Dude.
is, man. It's so over
He's
the
like,
top.
come on, brother. What are you doing, dude?
You've broken my heart.
What a great, fantastic. Hogan goes for the diving tag and Sid just drops
Just
down.
drops down.
Brother Brudai completely useless while this is going on. Like, he's not even trying to plead with Sid. He's just chilling there.
He does. Brutus.
Oh, now he is. Okay, now he is like, come on, bro. What are you doing?
One of the greatest mullets I've ever seen in my life on Brutus at this point.
Oh, yeah. Hardcore.
It is incredible.
Yeah. And you're 100% right. I didn't realize how much his pants are sliced. I didn't even know how he got this outfit on.
Right. How did he put those on his body at this point?
Makes no sense.
Hanging on by a thread.
So I think the story goes that Sid had it in his contract that he had to have a Mania main event, right? Is that why him and Hogan went on last?
I'm not sure. I think I've read that before, but I don't know. Yeah, that could be true.
So they're now throwing poor Earl Hebner around.
Earl Hebner's out.
So they actually win by DQ, Hogan and Sid.
Yeah, Hogan and Sid actually pick up the win here.
Now Brother Brudai about to throw down.
And this is post like parasailing accident for Brutus.
It is, right?
So Undertaker flips out, gets hit by Flair.
So I wonder if that's really what causes the turn there for Taker.
Oh, I love that Flair flip to the outside. Always
Fantastic.
love seeing that.
So good. I love that Paul Bear is struggling on the outside, doing everything he can to get Undertaker. So he's like holding up the urn.
Raising the urn.
Come on, Taker, come on. Ridiculous that Hogan couldn't take the L here.
No,
absolutely.
No, still got a pose at the end.
He should have been the world champion, and the Undertaker could have beat him, and he'd have still been fine. And he could have got back up and posed.
Still, his partner left him. He still beat up his two other opponents. Absolutely.
I love that he's refusing to do the Hogan pose, and Brutus is like, "Come on, brother, you got to do the Hogan pose."
The people need it.
Oh my goodness.
The people paid their money for it.
It's like,
oh, look at that fan.
Look
at that fan ripping that sign up on cue. Oh my God.
Now I just saw the fan. Fantastic.
Justice will be served.
Oh, that's awesome.
That was perfect.
That really was perfect there. Oh, another back to Sean Mooney.
Back to the locker room.
Definitely is a backdrop, and I'm devastated that it's a backdrop.
But it was so well done. You didn't know that as a kid,
right? As a
I
kid,
only just assumed that as an adult. But yeah, as a kid, yeah, it was great.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Oh, brilliant here, and this is you said this was in February of '92, right?
Yeah, so this is building up WrestleMania 8 right here.
So well done. If you think about it, like from the Rumble to him finally now embracing being this heel, and then I guess he'd introduced Harvey Wippleman in with him at some point too, right?
Which maybe was a bad choice, but yeah.
Yeah, I really didn't understand why he had to be included. But I guess that's crazy. He was a part of a WrestleMania main event. How insane!
Right, and I think like Harvey was actually like the guy who brought Sid into the company, like from
was he? Okay,
from the territory days, so they knew each other from that point.
I love the like hardcore laugh from Sid where he's it's like the early stages of Psycho Sid here, where he does the real like laugh where he's got his eyes all squinty and everything, and then immediately goes into like total nastiness there, jacked to the absolute gills.
I love
it. Imagine why he was taken out soon as Vince is in the middle of his trial there.
So the match is over. I just got an ad with Sheamus and Randy Orton advertising. I don't even know what they were advertising there. Some weird.
I've got Bianca product. And Austin Theory.
Okay.
I don't even know what they're at. They're talking about a WWE credit card.
There you go.
I don't know how much I'd be taken serious in front of my coworkers pulling out a credit card with Austin Theory
Austin
on it.
Theory on it.
How was he on a credit card? But what a fun look at that was. That was such a fun match to go back and watch.
Yeah, very fun throwback. I appreciated that. So a couple of the other matches that were on that night, we had Roddy Piper defeating the Mountie in an Intercontinental Championship match.
Wow.
And this is where Roddy Piper wrestled the match. He had a t-shirt on, and Mountie had the shock stick and shocked Roddy Piper, and it did nothing to him. And he took the t-shirt off, and he had like a life jacket on, or like a protective coat on underneath his t-shirt.
So was Piper then the champion going into that match? He must have been, right?
He was, yeah. He won it at Royal Rumble, and
Right.
then he goes on and loses it to Bret Hart at Mania.
What a loaded Saturday night's main event.
You got Sergeant Slaughter and Jim Duggan defeating the Beverly Brothers.
That was not a part of the loaded lineup. But it's like Sarge went from like super heel to like babyface jobber there, like in a weird like why couldn't he have been like toward the top of the card?
He was the main event at last year's WrestleMania, and now he's facing the Beverly Brothers.
Unreal. Though I did think the Beverly Brothers should have got a better run.
I can't agree with you there, brother.
No.
I'm not a Beverly Brothers fan. It's 30 years later. I still can't tell you which one is Bo and which one is Blake.
Well, I agree with you on that.
I'll never.
And then one of their kids was in NXT for a bit.
He was. That's right. Yeah.
And was the Genius with them?
He was. You're right.
Wow. Very. They did. That's so strange. Like they didn't even push those guys. Why was the Genius with them?
That was an automatic fast forward on any tape I rented. If there was a Beverly Brothers match.
Always added as like the added match too.
Absolutely.
All the time. Yeah.
And then, like I said, Randy Savage defeated Jake Roberts there in the main event. And then that is where Jake is laying in wait to try to attack Elizabeth, and the Undertaker saves the day, turning babyface and really never looking back at that point, basically until like the Ministry of Darkness days. He's going to have an incredible run as one of the great baby faces of the WWF. So classic night, important night in the history of the Undertaker. Maybe not that match specifically, although it is a huge match, but certainly in his run, this night is going to be very historic and a very fun look at what Saturday night's main event was all about. Always excitement, always a lot of fun, a lot of important action happening at that night. And I hope for your sake, Tommy, and for all of us watching, that there's going to be a lot more of that here in 2024.
Yeah, it's funny because I always dog on Triple H, that Triple H era, for putting together the 5-match PLE, but you look at this card here in 92 for a 2-hour event. I really was expecting a 4-match PLE. So I was glad to see that at the last minute they added Drew McIntyre and Sami Zayn in there. And I do wonder if that means they're going to get a longer run on the network here than the 2 hours, because 5 matches in 2 hours does feel like, I don't know how they're going to do that. That'll be interesting.
Yeah, I agree. It will be fun to see, fun to watch. And I think they've already committed to having another one in January, right before the Royal Rumble. So
right before the Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
And nutcase me did immediately check where it was going to be held to see if it was possible for me to attend the Saturday night's main event. Like the SmackDown before the Rumble, bless his heart, I saw Randy put that in the message. I'm like, if we miss that, no, I don't mind that too. That doesn't do much for me. But like, to Saturday night's main event, if it was at like MSG, or my hope, which was that every Saturday night's main event would be held at Nassau Coliseum, I definitely would have tried to get out there. And because the tie-in is that the first ever Saturday night's main event was held at Nassau Coliseum.
Oh, so I didn't even realize that. Okay.
That's why they're doing it there. So I was like, maybe they're going to do every Saturday night's main event at Nassau Coliseum, but it is not to be, unfortunately. The last, I think it's the first pay-per-view there though, since they did Evolution, the women's Evolution pay-per-view.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. It's like 6 years ago.
Yeah.
6 years ago. Wow.
It's been a while for sure. But yeah, no, good times. I was going to ask you, since we are at the holiday season here, if you have a favorite wrestling Christmas or Hanukkah. I don't know. I assume you celebrate Christmas, but if you have a favorite, I have to take my HR hat off sometimes. If you have a favorite WWE Christmas memory.
Ooh, favorite WWE Christmas memory. Man, so I bought that. They have a DVD of all the Christmas stuff called Ring in the Holidays or something like that, that came out a few years ago, and
That's a
I
good one.
often put that in during the Christmas season. Just I often put it in the background and everything. So it's got
I'm
a lot of that
excited for this
classic stuff.
WWE Vault because I think we're gonna get some fun Christmas stuff
Oh,
tied
I
in
think
there.
you're right. I think that's a great point. I do love I mean I love all the Divas Santa's Little Helper matches throughout
No,
the
those are fun.
years.
Yeah. Those are always
Those are great.
and they did one time they did Evil Santa
Oh
versus
my goodness.
what was it? Damian Sandow versus
I
Mark
think it's
Henry.
Mark Henry. Yeah.
And if Sandow had won, Christmas in 2012 or 13, whenever they did that match, was going to be canceled. So thankfully, Mark Henry won, and we were able to celebrate Christmas that year.
There's one where Randy Orton, I can't remember who he faces, but he's got a great Miracle on 34th Street fight on there. And then the night where Alberto Del Rio runs over Santa Claus and John Cena has to save the day is one of my favorite episodes of Raw ever. It's so stupid that but it's so fun. I have a great special place in my heart for that night.
I always appreciated the idea that like if if Raw fell on a Christmas day, screw it, they were doing Raw live because Vince thought, hey, there'll be some fans who want to celebrate Christmas night watching Raw. So then there was no time off back then. They'd be doing Raw live.
Yep. What about you?
So for me, I always liked. Yeah, I mentioned it during my Survivor Series watch-alongs, the main event rankings. When Santa would come out on the Thanksgiving Eve Survivor Series as his first stop before showing up at the Macy's Day Parade the next day. Like, I just thought those were always really fun. And of course, there's always the Stone Cold getting in the ring to save one of the Usos from Santa at the 1998 Raw when he like ends up giving him a stunner, and you find out years later that's one of the Usos that was in there with him.
How crazy.
Yeah.
Man, I hope we get some more of that this year for sure. We'll tell people where to find you. I'm sure we'll see more from you before the end of the year. I'm sure you'll have a recap of your Saturday Night's Main Event experience on the YouTube channel, but let everybody know where to find you and some of your recent content over there.
Absolutely, yeah. So it's Watchalong Wrestling. We have been doing a lot of stuff here. I did just do a recap. I had a lot of fun doing a recap of our One Dead Man show stop where we went over at around SummerSlam weekend there. So a little perspective from a fan of The Undertaker. But I don't know if a super fan of The Undertaker. I love The Undertaker. Of course, I can't come on the Talking Taker podcast and bury The Undertaker. That'd be pretty rough. But I've always been a fan of his. But I think that like you guys absolutely love him. So for me, it kind of gives a different perspective a bit, and I'll let you know if I thought it was worth it. So definitely check that out. And then end of the year, we've got a ton of fun stuff. We got the vlog there for Saturday Night's Main Event. I may end up going to the WWE show after Christmas. We'll see. If I do, we'll vlog that. I've got my main man Steve coming on to rank every pay-per-view from worst to best of the year, which we do annually on the channel. And then coming up after that, it'll be Royal Rumble season for the new year. So lots of fun stuff. So you can check that out. Watch Along Wrestling on YouTube, also on X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it, at Watch Along Tommy. So always happy to chat it up, and you can follow me over on there as well.
Well, appreciate you coming on here, Tommy. I know you're on the road working, and you squeezed me in here to make time for this bonus episode of the show. So always appreciate that. And always an honor to have you on the show, even if it's just like John Cena making his one appearance of the year. We had to get you in here.
Had to get one in, man. Of course. Absolutely. Anytime. And always make time for the PSK.
Absolutely. Of course, follow us. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you like and leave a comment here on this episode. And be sure to stay tuned for the next episode of Talking Taker as it comes out. Possibly some more bonus content coming your way in the month of December. And then, Travis and I will be back with a brand new episode in the month of January. Thank you for everybody for listening and watching along with us this evening. And as we always say at this time, Tommy, why don't you close us out?
Take her easy.